to another edition of Man Club. Today we're going to do something real simple. You might want to try to coordinate this with the tire rotation or something. We're going to pull the back wheels off and check out the slider pins on the rear brakes of the Accord. Apparently, according to this document here, which comes with the fixed brake pads for the rear, that they've reversed the pins in the rear calipers in the factory for all 2008, 2009 Accords, all 2009 TSX, and some very early model 2010 Accords and TSX. So we're going to pull ours out and see if they are in fact reversed, and if they are, we're going to put them the way they say to, and lube everything up while we're in there and do a tire rotation. Might as well get going.
Here's a quick diagram of what we're doing. As you can see, the pin that's perfectly round will always go on the top. Just remember that and you'll be fine.
Alright, tools for today's episode are pretty light, you know. As far as box end, open end wrenches, we got the 17 and the 12. That'll take care of most everything on the back. We've got a 12 socket and I put it up over there, but we got the torque wrench so we can get everything torqued back. Got a breaker bar to get off the lug nuts to begin with. Small flat tip screwdriver, old toothbrush, some lube, brake cleaner, rags. I fashioned a hanger for the caliper out of an old coat hanger. Safety stuff, goggles, gloves, instructions to make sure you're doing the right thing. Most important of all, a positive mental attitude. Okay, so we're going to get our car on a nice level surface. We're going to chop the front tires, crack the lug nut on the rear, and then we're going to jack it up and put jack stands under it and take the rear wheels off. Little tip on jacking up the rear: if you got a low jack or you got a smaller jack, you're going to jack from the tow hitch right here. Yeah. Sometimes you can't get it up quite high enough, especially if you have a shorter jack, so I just use a couple of 2x4s or 4x4s, whatever you got, some kind of wood blocking, and that'll help you get the height to get it nice and high off the ground and be able to get the jack stands under there and get the tires off. Alright, now we got the wheel off, we got a good look at what we're going to work with here. This is a 17mm head right here that we're going to have to steady as we turn off this 12mm nut here, and that'll give us access to the sliding pin. In addition to these two, there's like a line steady or a mount for the brake line right here. We'll go ahead and take that loose so we can get a little more play with the how far we can move this thing. Okay, so we fashioned a hanger. I don't know if you can see that too well, but we basically hanging the caliper off the suspension there just to get it out of the way. I mean, it's kind of hard to move with the brake line here and then the emergency brake tensioner cable there. Then we get down to our two sliding pins. This one was pretty easy to pop off. You can see there's just a little bit of a lip right there. On this top one, I had a harder time getting it off, so I wound up kind of just carefully prying the edge with just to get it started with a flat tip. You don't want to tear these though. If you tear them, you need to replace them. Just remember that, so be very careful. And I pull these out and I look, and they seem sufficiently lubed, but you can definitely see that they are reversed. This one that is perfectly round and smooth down here at the bottom belongs up here, and vice versa. So we're going to pull this out, we're going to lube them back up and stick them back in. Alright, so it's a little more obvious when these things are cleaned up that this here, you can see, is completely smooth and round. And this little gap here at the top is where that rubber boot sits. So there's a little indentation on the rubber boot, so you can just take your, like, if you can't get it started with your fingers, these were a little tight. I wound up using like a really small flat tip and just kind of peeling that edge till I can get a corner, and then just take my thumb and just drag it down. You don't want to, break your rubber, because she might get pregnant. And then on this one, you can see that it's got some flat edges, and so this flat-edged one was on the trailing edge of the caliper, and this needs to be on the leading edge, or the bottom. So we'll just lube these up and put them back in. after you've lubed them up, make sure you remember which one's which here. This is the one with the kind of, it's the non-perfectly round one, the one with kind of the flatter edges, and that goes on the bottom, or the leading edge of the brake. So we're basically, I'm going to put the camera down and do this, but we're going to stick it back in there and make sure we don't, rub too much here, inside here, to pull a bunch of dirt in there on our freshly lubed sliding pin. Okay, now that we've got our sliding pins back in, they're really smooth there. They're really sliding good, so that looks pretty good. But since we're already in here, might as well pull everything back out and kind of lube it up again. I pulled the clip off the bottom here. I'm going to clean this real good, and I was looking at my pads here. These are the Duramax C-Max or whatever, ceramics, and they seem to be wearing pretty evenly, and these have got 10,000 miles on them since I changed that, so they're looking pretty good, and I'm gonna guess they're gonna last a little bit longer than the 15 to 20,000 that people were averaging on those original OEM pads. So we'll just lube everything up and put it all back together, and then see how she drives. Okay, we pull our clips out. You can see them here. They're pretty dirty, so I just hit them with a little bit of brake cleaner. I tell you what, these old toothbrushes are not only good for cleaning your teebs, they're also good for cleaning almost anything that's small. So just clean them up real good, and we'll put some more lube on them and stick them back on. When you're done with that, I like to also spray some on here. And then we can just use this to clean the calipers themselves. That way we're not spraying stuff all over and hitting the rubber and everything else. Well, as you can see here, that spraying the toothbrush and then cleaning, you get stuff on your disc. So just make sure you wipe that off, especially on the backside, because you've got this dust cover all the way around. You really can't get access to it. So before you put everything back together, make sure you clean that rubber back off. Before we stick the clips in, we're just gonna, we've kind of got them clean. They don't have to be super clean. They're just gonna get dirty anyway. We're gonna put some lube here on these edges and then clip them in place. And finally, I like to put some lube on the back of these brake pads. These are the Duralast ones, so they've got the built-in pad. There's no shim on these, but I'll put some grease right where the either the fingers on the outside or the circular caliper on the inside is going to fit, just to prevent any kind of noise vibration. Since we didn't change anything as far as the pads or anything like that, we really don't need to screw this guy back in. But you can see how it's aligned. It needs to be aligned correctly, because I don't know if you can really see it or not, but it needs to line up with this pin right here. That's why you have to do it. So that pin aligns right in here. Okay, we've taken our time and lubed everything up as needed, and I just looked in the manual, and it's kind of hard to believe, but what we need to do here is steady this with a 17mm, and this 12mm we're going to torque these to a dainty 9.4 foot-pounds, and then this guy back here, this cable, goes to 16 if you want to be that specific. Okay, we got everything torqued back up to spec, and everything's lubed up. Pins are in the proper position. I think we're done here. We'll just throw the wheels back on and torque them down once it's set back on the ground to 79 foot-pounds, and that's in the star pattern. Since I like to have nice clean rims, because mine are painted on the inside, since they're off the car, no better time. I have to stick my arms through those little holes there to try to keep the inside clean. Alright, so this concludes another edition of ManClub. It was a quick and dirty, literally, job today, but we had fun. It's something I've been meaning to do, but I was just lazy, and because I knew it would just be all dirty. But it really didn't take very long, and got to check out my brakes and how they're wearing. I'm pretty happy with the C-Max, and everything looks good. So we buttoned it all up, got it dropped down, everything's torqued back, and we're ready for the test drive. For more tips and tricks, you can check us out at my8gen.com. There's a forum, a lot of guys specific to your cords, but anyone's welcome. And as always, have fun and keep them hanging.